Good afternoon, mamas. This is Devin with Homeschool House Calls. We are with Erin today, and this is not one of our usual homeschool house calls. Today, Erin's like a veteran homeschool mom. She's a leader in our area and in our state, and we're going to talk about what a homeschool capital day is, because we have lots of new mamas, and I just thought maybe some people didn't know what it was, and it was really kind of Erin's idea. I just hogged her idea.
Yeah, so I learned about them a couple years ago that a lot of states do them. If you aren't in Alabama, then your state probably does one, and probably does one really well. A lot of the states are already doing them, and they're at varying degrees of size. I know I was really impressed with Tennessee. They have their stuff together. Idaho really does a big thing. They have Tennessee had the outstanding students, which is where I kind of got that idea from, and I think it's Idaho that gives pies. They actually deliver pies.
Oh, fun.
On their Capital Day to their legislators. And California does a real big Capital Day. But then I know Mississippi does a much smaller Capital Day. It's more of a field trip kind of a thing. And they were just doing like a booth, and you came by and they talked to you a little bit. So
fun.
It could be really big or they can be really small. But they're really important because it's really a great opportunity for legislators to see us and to see, especially our size and that we are a constituency. A lot of legislators are in age brackets that might not know how homeschooling is now. They have older preconceived notions of what homeschooling was, and socialization and lack thereof, or if there is that, and even what their opportunities are. I know I've spoken to several legislators, and when I talk to them about all the things our kids are doing, they're always shocked. Like they don't realize that they have those opportunities.
There's so many opportunities.
Yeah, and that they're participating in things, and they're playing sports, and they're joining clubs and groups, and that where opportunities weren't available, we've created the opportunities. Maybe there wasn't a 4-H for our kids, and so now there is a 4-H that's all homeschoolers. And robotics. We have a great robotics team down here that goes to state every year. And Junior Civitan. Junior Civitan's a big one. We have a very active Junior Civitan here. And so it was really just a great day. I was realizing for these kids to really show off, for the legislators to meet them in person, and really to look out onto whatever the mall is in that state and go, wow, look at all these homeschoolers. Look at them all gathered together.
And it's important because if there's legislation coming through later, then they know that we actually have a group, and there's actually a large group, and that maybe it's important to pay attention.
And what's good too is once you get up there, so for us last year, even though we had to go virtually, we sent packets to all the legislators, and I included my card. And so what's great about that is now they have somebody to contact. So that's something I hear over and over, especially from businesses and just different places, area attractions that are looking to offer things to homeschoolers, is that they're like, man, we really wanted to offer things to homeschoolers, but we don't know who to contact. I'm like, oh my goodness, you can contact me, and I'll tell everybody I can tell. And it kind of works the same way for legislators. If something's coming up and somebody gets a bright idea of, well, this person needs more regulation, if there's somebody they can call and say, how does this actually work? How do y'all actually do these things? And so that somebody from our group, somebody from your group, somebody from a homeschool community who actually homeschools can kind of stop them in their tracks and go, wait, that's not what you want to do. We already have these things, you don't need to do that. So creating a point of contact is a really
I think that's
big
important.
thing.
So what are some of the things that go into a Capital Day?
I think that depends on the state, and I think it depends on the pool of money that you have to pull from. That's going to make a big difference. I know most states, it's run by their state organization. So in Idaho and in Tennessee, they're run by their state organization. So if you join their state organization and you donate to them, those funds are often used for these things. Get sponsorships. If you can get good sponsorships, then you can do a lot of things too. And then a lot of things is going to depend on what your state can do. In some of the states at the Capital Day events, they set up in the Capitol building. So they have all these really great tables set up, and people can kind of walk through the Capitol building as they do it, and it's real laid back because our Capitol buildings are just so huge. In Alabama, that's not a possibility because our Capitol building is actually very small on the inside. If you've been in it, it doesn't have a lot of places, so we will have to get on the grounds. They were going to give us access, and we'll talk about that later, but they were going to give us access to a certain floor level to kind of do some stuff. But a lot of what you can do is based on what's available in your area. A lot of what you want to do is going to be based on that too. So I know, I think it was Idaho. I'm going to say the state wrong, and I'm going to feel so bad when it's over with. But I'm pretty sure it's Idaho, and they do pies, and that's because that's just a thing that they do. I think it's Tennessee that gave me the idea for the cookies. I'm pretty sure they do cookies, and they actually are a very cool thing that I'm hoping to work towards, and they do a bake-off. So they have one of their counties, and they do a baking contest, and the cookie that wins the baking contest that year is the cookie that gets delivered to the legislators.
So fun.
And you have to be careful with that kind of stuff too, because a lot of states have rules.
Yeah.
On what you can give and how much you can give. Like, you couldn't go give them all $1,000, something like that. Like, that's going to be against some regulations and things. So you got to make sure you're playing ball within your legislative rules too. Another thing is days and times. So for Alabama, we are planning our Capitol Days at the beginning of a session. And so the sessions usually start in February or March, depending on so many things. It's absolutely ridiculous what you have to keep up with. If it's an election year or not an election year, if it's an election year that ends in Y, I don't know. It depends on when they start and go into session. And you want to start at the beginning of the session, because once they get towards the end of the session, they're really trying to get things done and really trying to work things through. So we wanted to plan our day towards the beginning of the session so they weren't quite as pressed for time. And we wanted to plan it on a Thursday. And we plan it on a Thursday because that's the day that the legislators are in session and on the floor. On Tuesdays, they're in meetings. So this is all kind of important stuff to figure out when you're talking to plan, if you're wanting to plan your Capitol Day or you're looking at your state.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, and why your state chose that day. I know a lot of people get frustrated, like, man, my co-op day is on Thursdays, and why are you doing it on Thursdays? And I'm like, there's a reason. Yeah, so there's a reason that they do it the days that they do it. They're trying to find the best for you to get the best out of it. And that sort of is the second half. So I had somebody ask me recently, what was the point? What's the point of the Capitol Day? Why are you wanting to do this? And the first point was what we talked about before. We want to show them our numbers. We want to show them how excellent our kids are. We want to show them that we show up when it's important. And so many other things that we've kind of packed in to show them us. So we've got, I had somebody singing the national anthem who was just beautiful voice. And so just kind of showcasing our kids and what they're doing. The second half of that, the kind of the flip side of what we're doing, is educating our kids and getting our kids excited. Because this legislative process isn't always the most thrilling thing for kids. That's not always the thing that they're most excited to participate in. Oh, great senators, woo! So bringing them to the Capitol and showing them this is where it happens. This is where this,
Yeah, it gives a great opportunity. And knowing Erin, she probably has learning packs that go along with it.
Yes, maybe a little bit. But they also get to tour the Capitol building. So that's neat. It's a history of your Capitol building. Every state's Capitol building is going to have a history behind it. I know in Alabama, ours has moved several times. It wasn't always in Montgomery. So the kids learning that Montgomery wasn't always where the Capitol building was. But there's some great busts in there of famous people. Around the grounds of our Capitol building is there's a tree that grew from a seed that went up into space. So they took all these seeds up into space, and we got one, and so you can go see there's a plaque. So there's all of that around, so there's that history. We have the Archives building here, which is full of Alabama history. Most Capitol buildings are going to have that. I know in Louisiana, they have a big Louisiana museum right across the street from the Capitol too. It's gorgeous if you're ever in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. That it's a 2-story, and it's a gorgeous museum. So you can get to that. You can have speakers. You have speakers come in and talk to the kids. We were lined up with speakers to talk to the kids about how legislation happens, how it works, what do you start with and what do you end with, and how once the Senate passes it, if it goes to the House and they even change a comma, it has to turn back around and go back and be redone again. And what's great in Alabama, one of the things, and I'm not exactly sure with every state what they have access to, but I know for us, the Senate and the House both have a floor that overlooks them. And so the kids will be able to go into those galleries and watch as everything happens. They have the overflow rooms and things like that. So it's a huge learning opportunity for the kids to learn all of this stuff. But it's also a neat opportunity for you, for parents and the kids to see all of the opportunities that are out there. So the states are going to be presenting what groups are out there, what clubs are out there, what sports you can participate in, and all that kind of stuff. So you get up there and you go, oh, I never thought about there being a homeschool junior civitan. We should start one of those in our area. And so somebody's going to pick up that idea and run with it, and in a way they didn't know. So that's really neat so it's kind of twofold. It's great for the legislators to learn about us and great for us to learn about them, and it's a great teaching opportunity.
And then for us to see what's going on out across the state.
Yes, and definitely connecting with other people across the state so you can kind of work together on things. We have in Alabama a couple of bills that are up. One is one sponsored by homeschoolers. They got it started for sweet potato to be the state vegetable in Alabama.
Nice.
And so that's exciting. They realized there wasn't one, and they decided that needed to change, and they found a sponsor with a couple of senators who decided they would sponsor them and wrote it up. And if you look at the bill, it's written into the bill, their names, thank you for writing or helping us with this, and so that's very cool.
Yeah.
And so they've really gotten their hands in and dug in to see how the process goes, and they feel like they're making a difference. Which is another thing. Like, I don't know that every state would need that because most states do have a state vegetable, but that's another thing. You know,
you never know what you can find that might. That's a great learning opportunity.
Yeah, it really makes the process real to them and makes them feel like they can make a difference. So for us, as far as getting started here and then started in Alabama, we're not starting with a great deal of funding, right? We don't have a group. We're starting it with Alabama Home Educators is the group that it's running through, and we have leadership across the state that's working with us and helping us get it done. And
last year was the first year.
Last year was the first year.
And it went virtual, but I still think it turned out great.
It did. I was very happy with how it went last year, and I had it all done. It was all the way up to, and they canceled 3 days out.
3 days out, yeah.
So, but we had 1,400 people signed up to show up.
That's pretty awesome.
It was
so. For any leaders or homeschool mamas watching, what went into changing it over to virtual? It was a big jump and a lot of work.
It was, and so we had about 3 weeks where everything was kind of mushy there when they were talking about shutdowns, but were they really going to shut down? And so for about 2 weeks, I was simultaneously planning a live event and getting things together for the live event and figuring out how to switch it to a virtual event. So I was basically planning 2 huge events at one time, which was very overwhelming. But switching it to the virtual meant, getting the platforms in place. So we used StreamYard. Thanks to you. You'd already kind of figured out StreamYard. So we went with StreamYard, which was a great platform for using it, and because we could record the content so people could watch it later. It was, okay, now how are we going to share content that they can use so it's still educational for y'all? Mm-hmm. We brought in a senator that spoke to the kids, so he got to talk, but he got to listen to. It was taking all of our outstanding students. We had 14 outstanding Alabama homeschool students last year. Yeah. They're 11th and 12th graders who have some really fantastic resumes. And they were going to get on the Capitol steps, and they were going to get to be presented and get certificates, and everybody was going to cheer for them, and it was going to be wonderful. Well, now we had to go virtual, and so we made sure that there was a presentation with all of their stuff on it, so that they kind of still got their moment in the sun with that. It was a very long day. It was a very long day of praying my internet didn't go out. It was a very long day of hoping my dogs didn't lose their business in the background while I was trying to interview a senator. But it went really well, and I think it was.
I think so. I think it did went very great.
Thank you.
I did. I mean, a lot of people went virtual last year for their events, and I know there were people that got angry with them, but they really did a great job with what they had to work with.
Yeah, and especially as last minute as it was.
Yeah.
It was so
last minute.
Come up with it super quick and come up with ideas, just as quick as you can. We had our girl that was going to sing, Madeline, who was going to sing the national anthem. Gosh, she's got a beautiful voice. She recorded it for us. So we were still able to kick off the day with her singing the national anthem, so that was great.
I think one of the things that I thought was the coolest was the governor declaring it Home Education Day.
Yes, and we got that again this year. So that's great. So we got a proclamation officially from the governor, and I can't wait till we can get in person because I'm going to bring all of them so everybody can see all of them because we actually got a real in-life one, not just the digital copy I got in the mail. It's in a beautiful blue folder with the gold embossment on the front, and when you open it's got the seal, the big gold seal in the middle. It's very official and beautiful, and so it's officially Alabama Home Education Day.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That coincides with it. So
I don't know why I thought that was cool, but I thought it was cool.
I think that's really, really neat, and it's neat too because again, it's twofold. It's great for the kids to see, look, we're being recognized by the governor, and she's, it's Home Education Day. It's great for us to be able to share that with our friends and family. All of us have one or two family members who are like, and so this is a great thing to go, look, we've got an official proclamation from the governor. How cool is this? But then it was great too because that had to go across her desk. She had to look at that, and if you read it, the proclamation, it's very good. Read the words. I wish I had it in front of me. I'd read it for you, but I've got it written out. I've got a picture of the proclamation and it typed out for you, so you don't even have to try and read all the cursive and calligraphy because it's very swirly on the thing. But she had to read that. I mean, she's not just going to sign it just because somebody slides it in front. I hope she doesn't just sign it because somebody slides it in front of her, please. And so, hopefully she read that over and got thinking, man, this is some great points about homeschoolers. And so, that's
pretty cool.
That was a good thing too.
So what about this year? What's planned? I know it's virtual again this year.
Yes, so we're going virtual again this year. Not quite as big as last year. We're kind of keeping it because we weren't sure what was going to happen this year. Last year last year when we got started, we had so many things. We had a t-shirt contest. Mm-hmm. So we put it out there, and the Alabama homeschoolers got to design the t-shirts. We picked the top 3, and then you got to vote on which one was the number one. And it actually ended up being a little girl down here, which I didn't even realize when we were, because we try and get as many leaders together that we're working with so that nobody's voting on the people in their area. Nobody's voting on their friends and things. Trying to make it as fair as possible. So I actually didn't even realize it was a little girl here until she won. And when she won, her mom was like, oh my gosh, she won. And I went, oh, that's somebody here. That's somebody local. Oh my goodness. So that was fun. What was neat about that is I could go take pictures of her in the shirt. So that was fun.
That was pretty cute.
But we had t-shirts, and then you could order the t-shirts. And then we had the Outstanding Students was already being rolled out. We had gotten sponsorships. We had already lined up speakers. So everything, such a huge chunk of the work was done by the time we switched it to virtual, that it was a lot. And it was a very long day, like I said. It was very stressful to worry about whether or not my internet would go out or, things like that. So this year I've kind of pared it down for the virtual, but we're actually already preparing for 2022. So that's kind of where I went with it this year is I said, let's keep it. We're still going to do it this year. We've got speakers lined up. We've got content for you to share. We got our proclamation. So it's Home Education Day. So we definitely celebrate that. We're going to make a thing for you to put on your Facebook frame. We're going to get a frame made so that you can put that on your Facebook. But really our focus is we're already sort of thinking ahead. And so I put out the call and asked if people want to help for next year to go ahead and contact me. We've already had 3 or 4 parents contact me and say, yes, please, we want help. Because you have to think, once we get to that point, we can plan all year for speakers. I can line up speakers all day. I can, we can do the voting for all the things. But day of, we're going to have volunteers to sign people in, to help direct people, to lead tours, because we got really neat. We were able to get guided tours of the Capitol building and at the archives building. But you need somebody who could check everybody in. So I guess if you're looking at which, like I said, most states already have them and they're already planning them. So if you're most states, I don't think you're really going to have to plan one.
Yeah.
But if they
need your help.
They need your help. Contact them. See if you can help. See what volunteer opportunities there are for you. Because it wouldn't be possible for somebody to do by themselves. It would not be possible for me to do it by myself.
There's no way.
Mm-mm.
It's too big.
Too many moving parts, especially once you're in real life. It would be too many moving parts.
That's exciting.
But I'm very excited about it. You know, Devin's been there since the beginning. I got the idea, and I'd heard of the idea for a year or so, and then at Teach Them Diligently, when they came to Mobile year before last, I said, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this a thing, and we sure did. We got it going, so...
I was not involved with planning the battle. She's looking at me, but I was not. I was the cheerleader.
By we worked with, the first year was working with Christy Trent with Birmingham homeschoolers, and with Constance, who is up in Huntsville, and we were working with Barbie. She did some things. She was helping us get the lady who was going to cook our cookies, and Melissa Horton was going to help with volunteers. And so, really, and we were already bringing in, who else can we bring in, you know, who...
Because it takes a huge team to pull something off at that level.
Yeah, so it was
even
really
virtually,
great.
I'm like, even virtually, it takes a huge
team.
So
that's the we that I was talking about, not we.
Not me. We have been friends for years, and we have...
Now, Devin was a huge emotional support. There were many times I messaged her when I don't think I can do this. And
yes, she can.
She was a good emotional support as far as that goes. But yeah, no, it took a big team, and we were all kind of working real hard. And they helped once it went virtual. If you go back and look, if you go to Alabama Homeschool Capital Day on Facebook, you'll see all the different people who were conducting interviews.
You can still see the videos. One was it Jonathan Bean?
That was the most popular one of the day, I think.
So.
Jonathan Bean wrote, "This is my home, this is my school." If you homeschool, and especially if you homeschool littles, but even if you homeschool bigs, that's a great book to have. It's a really good, it's a very simple read.
He was so interesting.
Yeah, but he was homeschooled in the 80s, and so he's grown now, and he writes books, and he did this great, he talked about not the animation, the drawings, the artwork in it, and the details, and there were things in the art that I hadn't been noticed until he pointed it out when he was reading it, and stories from his childhood that he'd kind of included in the art, and so that was the Crazy Lunch Lady. I definitely recognize the Crazy Lunch Lady in the book.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, once or twice. But if you don't go see any other one, that one was good. Eagle Forum did a fantastic video, especially if you're in Alabama, on how to keep track of legislation, what's going on, how it works, how it goes through the system, what you need to know. And so that's a great one for the kids to watch to really understand. I know there's the How a Bill Becomes Law, is it the singing show, Magic School Bus is what I'm thinking, and that's not it. It's Schoolhouse Rock. Schoolhouse Rock. And there's that song, but they really go into it in detail, and especially how to follow it in Alabama, how to use the Allison website, which is what we have for Alabama legislature information. And you can go on that website and you can find out who your senator is in your area. If you're not sure, you can put in your address, and it's going to pull up who your senator and legislators are, representatives are. And so that was a really interesting one to watch. We had a senator come on and talk to us. He was great. Just what it's like to be a senator, what it's like to run for office, what it's like to win. He's at a loss to what it's like to lose. So, because that's got to be tough too, because everybody's watching you. So definitely go see the videos. HSLDA did one on some of the stuff that was
in Alabama.
Yeah,
and check out in your state if you probably a quick Google you could find it, or you can find your homeschool organization, see if they have one. Most states do. I'll try to make a list. I think I have a list. I'll make a list in the description box. So maybe if I'll get really, really gun-ho, I might even find their contact information. You can never tell with me. It just depends on the day and what the children are doing. But
some days are crazier than others.
Yeah, some are crazier than others. But it's just a very good thing for you. It's good for your community. It's good for your children. It's important, and that's why I thought today we'd talk to Erin, because it is an important thing.
Yeah, and we're very excited to be bringing it to Alabama. I think we're very lucky in Alabama. We don't have super restrictive laws like they do in some states, so we have a whole lot of homeschool freedom, and we want to keep that freedom. You know, we don't want something to pop up suddenly that we're not paying attention to. So we want everybody paying attention. The more eyes, the better. And then we don't want something to pop up and them not know us. We don't want. One of my fears is, of course, you know, the stories for about 2 or 3 years there, it seemed like every other month there was another story, and it was a homeschooler that something awful was happening.
Something happened. You want them to see the good homeschoolers too.
Right.
We want to be familiar that we want to normalize homeschooling.
Yeah, and we don't want that headline to be the one thing, and
that they see.
And God forbid a headline pop up here, you know, and that would be awful. And then that knee-jerk reaction legislation that's so bad. You know, California, they had some knee-jerk legislation that they were trying to push through after a story broke there, and because they were organized, because they had that great strong central those groups and the leadership, and there was a place for people to kind of go to and get information of where to go and what to say and that kind of stuff. They were able to fight the legislation and it didn't go through. So, you know, we want that here. We want them to kind of already know that
for every bad story, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of good stories, and we don't want the good stories forgotten. Right. And that's one of the reasons why we have homeschool house calls, for you to see the good stories.
Yes, and if you're in Alabama and you have, so our Alabama Outstanding Homeschool students are only 11th and 12th graders, and they're kind of, we're catching them as they're graduating and at the peak of all of their accomplishments and seeing everything they do before they head off to college. But if you have any age student that is doing great things, cool things, you know, and interesting things. I know I was actually just talking to Courtney, who's a homeschool mom up in Huntsville, and she was saying, but all homeschool kids are doing amazing things and their parents just kind of think it's normal, and that's true. Our kids do so much, and we're just like, well, that's not really outstanding. I mean, that's just what we do, and we see it in our community every day. You know, we see all these kids, but they don't. So if you have younger kids who are doing neat things, I know locally we had a homeschool brother and sister who did Paint the Town bread, and they started a bread business, and they were on the news. And what we lack is a PR team. Homeschoolers don't have that same kind of PR team like public school students do. So if public school kids do something cool, it's on the local news stations because the public school system's PR team picks it up and they contact the right people. So what we would like to be at Alabama Home Educators and at the Capital Day event.
PR team.
Yeah, so send us, if your child is doing something neat, send it to us. Send us a little write-up and a picture, and we'll share it. And we call it Spotlights on Alabama Homeschoolers. We spotlight
I love it.
Alabama homeschoolers to kind of give them their moment in the sun and give them that recognition. And again, I can't tell you how many times we've posted one and somebody goes, oh, I hadn't even thought about my child being able to do that. Oh, my child's interested in that. It
gives us great school ideas.
Yeah, which, you know, our kids love when we come up with another idea.
Another class, Mom.
Another great idea, Mom. Wonderful. We were watching a YouTuber today, and it turns out Mike, he does science stuff, and I was like, oh, he offers classes. And my son's like, great.
Wow, great, Mom.
So definitely, you know, check out what your state's doing. Check out what your state's, and I do want to say this, that when I started planning, of course, I had no idea what I was doing. I just had an idea, and I was like, man, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to, you know, I don't even know where to start, really. I just know I have this idea. I know other states do it. We can make this happen. And I called California, and I spoke to their state organization, and I called Idaho, and I spoke to their leadership, and I talked to Tennessee, and I spoke to their leadership, and they were fantastic about supporting me. What can we do? Can we help you? Let us know if we can do anything. They were fantastic with the idea. Nobody said, oh, well, we're not going to tell you because that's kind of our thing. Like, nobody was proprietary.
Yeah,
they shared all of their ideas. Tennessee, the woman in Middle Tennessee, mailed me like a care package
Oh.
with because they've got it together. They have like a little booklet that's in color and shiny and beautiful, and ours is going to be black and white and paper, but it was gorgeous, and it had all of their information and what they did and kind of all that stuff. And so I was able to take the ideas, since we didn't have a pool of money to pull from, and I was able to kind of take the ideas and go, okay, well, we can do outstanding students because that doesn't cost anything, but it's got to, it's going to show off our kids in a big way, but it's not going to cost us anything on this end. The designing the t-shirts, again, very cool for our kids to get their art out there and get to participate in this program, and it didn't cost anything on the back end. The cookies, we were going to do cookies because you can make a whole lot of cookies for a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
I always make them in my house. We always have 300 cookies, and I'm like, and so we had a wonderful woman up in Birmingham, and she was going to donate time and baking, and we just had to pay for the supplies. So we weren't going to have to pay like a baker, but she has the big ovens and could cook massive quantities at one time.
Yeah.
So finding the things that they were already doing that wouldn't cost us a ton of money on our end. And to get us started, so we can build up kind of, and the more people participate, and this is the same way with any of the state groups, the more you participate,
Mm-hmm.
the more you join your state organization, the more you donate and can volunteer, the more they can do for you.
Yes.
So, for us, it's Alabama Home Educators. So if you're looking for where to go and who to look at, come find us at Alabama Home Educators. So we're
And
kind of
I
trying
will
to
be
make this happen.
putting the link in the description box, so
Yep.
you'll be able to find them. And if you know your Capital Day and you have a link for that, drop it in the comments so people can find it. We could talk all day. Me and Erin are like this. We can go all day. But we're going to wrap this up, and then I can have other conversations. But like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's important. Not yet. I'm not done. My cameraman is getting glitchy. She's trying to turn off that camera. I'm not ready. But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. It is very important for the algorithms. And drop your link. If you have a Capital Day in your state, drop the link so other people can find it. I'll grab them and I'll put them in the description box. And let us know. What are your ideas?
What's your favorite thing in your Capital Day?
What's your favorite thing in your Capital Day? Because we might need some more ideas.
Yeah, that's right. And they would probably love to see it too. Even if you can't volunteer and you can't send money,
tell them thank you.
Tell them thank you. That goes
It
so
goes
long.
so far. Look, most leadership, if you tell them how grateful you are, it's like they'll try to go like 10,000 things more. It does something for them. So yeah, definitely tell them thank you and tell that you appreciate them.
And what you like best. Yeah.
But thank you for hanging out with us today. Next week we will be back at Michelle's house, and she's a young mama with the cutest little baby. So you'll enjoy her. But have a great day, guys.
Bye.